want to talk about the Vikings first, because to me, the Vikings beat the Lions 27-24. The big news out of this one, Albert, is that JJ McCarthy went from being offensive player of the week a couple weeks ago to being the Tom Brady LFG player of the week this week. So it's a massive haul already. This guy's going to have to get a new cabinet, new awards. But if you go back to, I don't know, even 8 days ago, the drumbeat of conspiracy, the fact that Carson Wentz was playing a game when he probably shouldn't have, health-wise or whatever.
Right.
Wentz was masking an injury and trying to, squeeze a little more toothpaste out of that tube, whatever, however you want to sort your cards out in that situation. But it looked like, and I know this is not true, but for a large portion of the outside public, it looked like Kevin O'Connell was hiding JJ McCarthy from gameplay, right? And the fact that you turned away so many other quarterbacks, right? There's just this whole groundswell of controversy around this. And so if he comes out against the Lions and poops his pants, you have a big issue.
Problem.
But if he doesn't, and he plays well, which I think he did, and we could talk about that, then now the NFC North is just like it's like a sloppy, muddy mess. It's like KY wrestling in college, It's Cauldron, everybody's just in there. A lot of bodies flying around.
So I wish people would just trust Kevin O'Connell on this, because I think he's earned our trust with the job that he did with Kirk Cousins first, then with Sam Darnold last year. I think the guy knows what he's doing with quarterbacks. And I think his handling of this was exactly what it needed to be. And here's what I mean. I remember having this conversation with Matt LaFleur. I think it was 3 years ago, when Jordan Love first became a starter, 2.5 years ago, when Jordan Love first became a starter. And he said to me that if they had put Jordan Love out there in year 1 or year 2, they might have destroyed his confidence. And his point was, when you destroy a young quarterback's confidence, it's almost impossible to get it back. It takes years to get it back. And I think we've seen that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm going to take you kind of inside, the handling of the last 2 weeks, the Vikings, which was the 2 days before that Thursday night game. On a Tuesday morning, they bring JJ McCarthy out. The coaches are out there. The trainers are out there, and they're working him out to see where he's at. And it was clear at the end of that workout that he was not fully confident in the ankle. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't fully confident that he was going to be able to play at a high level on the ankle. Let's say they push him out there and say, "Now we got to have you out there. We're gonna shove you onto center stage against a Jesse Minter defense that throws a zillion things at you."
Right.
Sink or swim, kid. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Then you wreck his confidence. Then he has 10 days to hear going into Detroit what a train wreck he is. Should they go back to Carson Wentz? Because remember, if that was the handling of it, Carson Wentz would probably still be available, right?
Right.
So you're just you wreck his confidence. Now you're chasing that potentially for the rest of the year.
Yep.
And you've got another quarterback who's hurt, and oh God, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Instead, Kevin O'Connell prioritized McCarthy's confidence, and I think that's something that he's consistently done with the guys that he's worked with. Is how can I get this guy in a spot where he's going to feel good about what we're doing, what he's doing, and his handle on everything around him. And they've been very deliberate about the way they've developed McCarthy in that way. And, even going back to the once a week meetings that they had last year, just JJ and Kevin. And, I think what you saw in this game was another example of how they're managing him. He only threw the ball 25 times.
Right.
They ran it 29 times. They ran for 142 yards. They were able to control it with Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. And they were able to show him in spots we have confidence in you. And I think the confidence they showed him and them prioritizing his confidence showed up huge at the very end of the game when it was time to see what you got, right?
Yep.
And there was the busted play, which my understanding is that was on Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason ran the wrong way, right?
Okay. Yep.
And now he is standing there. And I don't know if you saw it, but he is standing there. It's 1st and 10 And if he takes a loss in that situation, now all of a sudden the volume in that stadium's turned up to 1 million.
Oh yeah.
And the Lions are getting the ball back because now you're in like 2nd and 15 and you're in deep, you know what.
Oh yeah.
Instead, JJ immediately recognized what was going on, tucked the ball, and ran forward for 4 yards. And that won't be remembered. But that to me was a kid who was confident in himself and his surroundings and knew his coaches had his back. So he rips off the 4 yards. Then they go for no gain or 1 yard in the next play. Then Kevin O'Connell puts the ball back in JJ's hands. JJ sees the one-on-one matchup with Speedy Naylor and throws the back shoulder, makes the back shoulder throw to win the game.
Is his nickname
so much for his confidence. That's going to do so much for him going forward. And like, I just think I think what you're seeing in Minnesota, I don't know if JJ is going to make it and be the quarterback there for the next 15 years. I don't know if he's going to sign a big second contract there. I don't know. He might. I just, it's way too early to be able to make a real determination on that. But I think they're giving him the best chance to get there. And I think that's the point of all of this. You know what I mean? Is they're giving him the best chance to get there. And they're going to come out of this year with a cleaner read of who he is as a quarterback than if they had done things the other way. So I just think Kevin deserves a lot of credit for his handling of it. And I think it showed up at the end of the game. And now the Vikings are going to be playing important games going forward.
Jalen Naylor's nickname is Speedy. I didn't.
Speedy. Oh, did you said that? I was wondering what you were saying there, but I was kind of mid-rant. So
no, that's good. I wanted to give you that space, but player nicknames, especially on Pro Football Reference, are a little bit of a bugaboo of mine, and so I like Naylor. Speedy. Speedy's, and longtime listeners of the show will know that the genesis of this came back to Janoris Jenkins, and when I covered the Giants, and they were like, hey, he prefers to be called Jackrabbit, and I was like, that's cool. I'm not calling another human like an animal unless we go through a full, you want to go to the courthouse and you want to make this thing official, that's fine, and I'll call you whatever you want, but because it's going to be the brand of your flip-flops or whatever, I'm not going to call you that just to kind of help you out. I'm sorry.
I think Speedy would be a better nickname if it was like ironic. You know what I mean? Like how you call like a 360-pound guy tiny.
That's like Notre Dame.
I agree that they could call me or you Speedy.
Notre Dame used to have this fullback called Joey Goodspeed, and I used to love that. And he was just not fast, and it was just so funny that his name was Joey Goodspeed. On the Lions side of it, I thought that we saw the limitations. By the way, I feel like my trade deadline dream trades, and we talked about them last week, while I'm not nailing them, like Jalen Phillips, right before we started taping, went to the Eagles. I had Bradley Chubb going to the Eagles, but one of the pass rushers went to the Eagles. And the other thing that I kept pounding the table for was that Taylor Decker's not healthy. This offensive line, and Dan Skipper's fine, but you need more help. I think we saw the limitations of this offensive line in this Vikings game. The Brian Flores' defense beat the crap out of this front, and they were stuffing runs. You basically had to take Jahmyr Gibbs out of that game because David Montgomery was the only one who could pass protect. It's I think instructive for Detroit that once that iron facade goes down to that offensive line, they're still a great team, but they need some help. And I think they got to get a little bit active here at the deadline.
Yeah, so. I mean, if Decker. And look, Decker's 10 years in now?
Yeah, that's
there's eventually going to come the point when, and he's been a great player there, and a foundation piece for them. Him and Ragnow, I think, were really kind of the guys that Dan Campbell built around from a cultural standpoint when he got there. But eventually there's going to come to the point where Sewell, I think, flips over to the left side, sort of like Tristan Wirfs in Tampa.
Right. And we'll see what happens there. But for the Lions, it's tough, right? And that's why I think I buried the Chiefs Bills, because it's, these teams are going to be fine. And I think it was just a little bit of, it's one of those wonky games, right? And the interior offensive line, I mean, the Lions were down to their third string left guard in this game. Yep. And if you're facing Brian Flores, who's already good at scrambling the communication of good offensive lines. You know, if you're down to like your third or fourth guy there, you're dead in the water against the Vikings. But I think the overall thing is that I think that Minnesota wanted to get through this week still believing that JJ McCarthy can continue to keep them interesting and in games, and I don't see any reason why we can't believe that. He made some bad
next week will be
throws.
interesting.
He made some good throws. He's a young guy, right?
Next
but I
week
don't
will be
think he's
interesting.
bad. Who do they have next
Baltimore.
week? Ooh.
Yep.
Hello. Keep putting this cat. I don't know. I like watching JJ McCarthy. There's something.
I think he's got moxie. I think he's got like. I just think he's got like a toughness about him. Like there's. Yeah, I guess it's an easy thing to say, but it's like a little bit of a hockey player to him. You know what I mean?
All right.
Which is like what he was when he was growing up. You know, but like there's a little bit of hockey player to him.